Cut creases are one of the staple 2016 trends, and to be honest, I never stopped doing them. They can really make or break a look, and they're one of the technical skills that took me a while to master, especially because I have hooded eyes. So if you're a beginner to makeup and you really want to learn how to master the cut crease, I'm going to show you exactly how I created this rainbow cut crease look step by step with a beginner-friendly focus. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So the key to a great makeup look is, of course, your base. I've just gone with the P. Louise base in the shade Rumor 1. So if you have not done so already, I definitely recommend investing in a good base product. I'm going to go in with my Be Perfect Carnival Interstellar palette just because this has the perfect amount of rainbow shades for this look. We're going to be using a lot of colors today, so I recommend making sure that you have a lot of makeup brushes or something to clean them off on in between. On a Sigma E42, I'm going to pick up the shade Conspiracy, and I'm going to slowly start packing that into the inner portion of my crease, and I'm just going to come about halfway. Don't worry if you have any eyeshadow come onto your lid or any fallout under the eye, we will go ahead and clean it up. Next, on a Morphe JH40, I'm picking up the shade Space War. I'm just putting the tiniest amount on the tip of my brush, and I'm going to start blending that into the pink shade and flicking it out towards my brow. On another clean Morphe M506 brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Traveler, and I'm going to place that on the outer edge of my eye, blending it into the purple shade. On another clean M506 brush from Morphe, I'm going to take the shade Comet, and I'm going to start blending that pink in the inner corner out. Next, on a Sigma E33 brush, I'm taking a mixture of the shades Atom and Roswell, and I'm going to use that to diffuse that purple shadow we placed down earlier. On a Morphe M562 brush, I'm going to take some of the shade Classified, and I'm just going to feather out the edge of that pink shade right in the inner corner. On a Sigma E27 brush, I'm going to take a mixture of Lightyear and Fiction, and I'm going to use that to blend the edge of the purple eyeshadow out. On a Sigma E27 brush, I'm going to take the shade Pluto and use that on the edge of the blue shade. I'm just going to blend this shade up and out towards my eyebrow. Next, on a Sigma E36 brush, I'm going to take the shade Nebula and use that to blend our blue shades out. So now it's time to cut the crease, and I like to do this by clearing out any excess eyeshadow with some makeup remover first. I like to just pop some on a Q-tip. Don't saturate this, because if you have too much makeup remover, you'll find it will spread up into the eyeshadow and kind of just ruin the whole look. I like to start clearing away eyeshadow from the front of my eye first. I'm just slowly dragging that Q-tip and creating a nice carved out line. Now the trick with this is to take your time, because you can always go back and take off more, but it's really hard to add product back where you've removed it. If you find that you're kind of just dragging product around, just get a new Q-tip and more makeup remover to keep everything nice and clean. Cut creases are kind of one of those things that you really just have to practice. I've been doing them for years now, so I know where to put a cut crease on my eye shape. But if you have hooded eyes, you kind of want to put your cut crease above where your eye naturally creases so that you can see the eyeshadow when your eyes are open. If I relax my eyes, you can see that pretty much all of my lid space disappears. That's why I bring it up a bit higher than my natural crease. Now, if you want to figure this out, you can do something called the concealer technique, and I'll show you what that is. What you can do is you can place the tiniest amount of concealer or base product along your lash line, and then you're going to look up. And that's going to give you a guide for where you need to put your cut crease so that it's not going to transfer onto the eyeshadows we've worked so hard to blend. So as you can see, I just need to come up a little bit more for this to be visible and to stop transferring. So if you want, you can keep this on your eyelid and then go and carve out your cut crease that way. But I prefer to remove all of the eyeshadow that I don't want so that the line can be as crisp as possible. So I'm just going to take all of that product off just because I don't want it to make a mess and smear everywhere. But I just wanted to show you guys that that is how I learned to do cut creases, and eventually you won't need a guide and you'll know where to put your shadows. So I'm just going to go back in with my Q-tip and makeup remover and just continue to take that eyeshadow off to create my cut crease. I think symmetry with a cut crease is also one of the things that is really hard to master, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think mine are ever perfect, but you definitely can get them almost near perfect. I think it's kind of unrealistic to expect them to be equal because everybody has slightly different anatomy on their individual eyes. We're not all 100% symmetrical, so you kind of just have to work with your anatomy. The easiest way to create symmetry is with the eyeshadows that you have laid down. You want them to be as even as possible because then it makes it easier to get an even cut crease. I think it's so important to just kind of take your time clearing away, check what you've done on the other side, and go back and forth until you get something that's pretty even. It's kind of like doing winged eyeliner. It's just one of those things that you just have to keep trying. So now I'm coming to the end of my cut crease. I'm just using the very, very edge of that Q-tip to drag that product into a bit of a point. We will go and correct it with our base product, so it does not have to be perfect, but you kind of just want to try and clear away anything you're not going to use. And now I'm going to place my base product down that's really going to help give us that crisp line. I like to use my P. Louise blank canvas paint. This one is so old, so ignore that. This is a base product that is thicker than concealer and it self-sets, so I find that it's just easier to work with and really helps give you a crisp edge. And of course, when you are doing a cut crease, you really want to have a flat brush with a nice sharp edge to help the process. I like this one from P. Louise. It's their 7072 brush. It's small enough so you can really get in the inner corners, but also big enough so it doesn't take ages to do a cut crease. First things first, do not put a whole bunch of product on your brush because one, it's just going to go everywhere. Two, it's going to go all clumpy and it's just going to crease because there's just too much product on the lid. And three, you just want to use small amounts at a time so you can really focus on getting that product nice and sharp and really control where you're putting it. I recommend actually popping some on the back of your hand and dipping into your product like that. Mine is so empty that I'm having to take it out of the tube, so in an ideal world, you'll have a brand new brush that isn't fraying and a new tube of this. But essentially, I just like to start from the front of my eye using the tip of my brush to place that product down. And I kind of just do little brush strokes to create a nice sharp line. And I like to blend the product in as I go. This helps it set nicely, as you can see on this side. But you just want to keep working your way up along that line we created by removing the eyeshadows. And if you've got any bits that are maybe a little bit chunky or not as sharp as you want, you can just use the brush and the product to correct this. So I'm just going to cover the bottom of my lid with the product, and then I'm going to take my sponge and just blend that out, just so we've got nice even coverage for our shimmer shades. Just keep working your way around the eye using those little patting motions, and eventually you will start to have a cut crease form. See how I'm just using the very tip of the brush? This really allows me to have control over where I'm putting the base product, simply because there's only a little bit of the brush making contact with my eye. And of course, don't beat yourself up if your lines don't come out perfect. I have been doing this for such a long time, and you will get better at it the more you do it. The thing that helped me the most was when I swapped over to a good base product and a nice flat brush. That made a world of difference. So if you can, I really do recommend investing in those. To blend the base product into my blue, I just like to take another separate brush. This is the Morphe E36, and I just like to feather that in to the blue eyeshadow just so it blends nicely. Alright, so I've evened that out as much as I could. I have a little divot here that I don't like. So this is another great trick I like to do. I like to get a really small angled brush. This is a Morphe 160 to 1/16th. And I'm going to take some of the purple eyeshadow that I had before, and I'm literally just going to use this brush to clean that edge up. And then you can go back in with your base product and just tidy the edge. And that's a little trick as well. If you don't want to keep layering base product up, you can just use the eyeshadows that you blended around the cut crease to sharpen everything up. On a Sigma E57 brush, I'm going to take the shade Martian and use that to blend the matte blue into that new base product. On my finger, I'm going to pick up the shade Mercury and I'm going to press that all over the lid. Putting shimmer shades on with your fingers changes the game. They are just so much more buttery when you apply them this way. And then to get nice and close to that cut crease line, I'm going to pick up the same shade on a Morphe 213 brush and just pack it nice and close to that edge. On the other side of that Sigma E57 brush, I'm just picking up a little bit of the shade Reptilian and placing that in between that gold and blue shade. I'm just going to quickly pop some base makeup on and then I'll be back to finish off the look. Alright, continuing on, I'm taking a mixture of the shades Alien and Meteor on a Morphe E18 and I'm going to run that under my lower lash line, but I'm not going to bring it all the way into the inner corner. On a Morphe JH38, I'm going to pick up the shade Celestial and blend that dark green out. Next, on a JH31, I'm going to take the shade Earthbound and blend that lower lash line out. And finally, to tie the look all together, I'm going to take the shade Luna on a JH39 brush and I'm going to pop that in the inner corner and a little bit up towards my brow. So to finish the look, I'm just going to pop on some mascara and lashes and then I'll show you guys the finished look. So this is the final look with the mascara and lashes. And here's the full face look. And my friends, you have just learned how to create a rainbow cut crease look that will turn out perfect every time. I hope this video was helpful. Cut creases are something that is just a time and practice and patience thing. I've been doing makeup for such a long time now and it was one of those things that I definitely just learned over time. So the more you practice, the better you will get at it, but the thing is to just start. So if you guys found the video helpful, give it a thumbs up. It helps push my channel out to new potential viewers, and make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so that you never miss a video from me. If you want to see any of the looks that I don't create here, check out my Instagram at MakeupWithAlix. All my social medias are linked down below. Thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!